Hey guys, welcome to another week of WoW Weekly with Myst. And for this week, we have a pretty chill week. I got a lot for news though, but as far as what's going on in WoW next week, it's pretty chill. Goal-wise, I had set a goal last week to do a 3 mythic, really low mythic plus. I literally have not even touched the mythics yet. I have been slacking in WoW all week this week. I've been over on my PlayStation playing Friday the 13th and trying to play Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is not fun on the PlayStation, I will say. There's times where it's quick, when you're solo, but the queue times for Dead by Daylight on the PS4 are so long, it's unbelievable. I was sitting in queue for like 10 minutes one night, and yeah, it's rough. But I was grouped up at that time, and yeah, I think solo, it maybe has quicker queues than if you're grouped up, which is unfortunate because, the whole point is to play together. But anyway, so because of that, the time in WoW was a little lowered, which was unfortunate because it was Dark Moon week and I like to take advantage of those, but yeah. And you'll see this shortly after this video posts, but it's actually my 4-year anniversary on YouTube today. And I always do like a special game for you guys when that happens. So I've been focusing recording that game all week as well. And yeah, so you will see that game probably in like 30 minutes from the time I post this video. And yeah, so it's been kind of a slack week in WoW, but that's okay. There's not much I'm doing anyway. I'm just rep farming the Alderman Vale areas. But this week has some things that I will be wanting to do. So for this week, we have the weekly will be World Quests. And another easy weekly. You don't even have to try for those. Like, as long as you're a person that regularly does the World Quest, you'll just have it done before the week's over. And the second wing of LFR for Nyalotha will open up. And Love is in the Air is live. It started up on Saturday. And it will go all the way to February 21st. That is where I will be busy because I always grab all the alts that can take advantage of that event. And I'm currently farming the Love Rocket, which I have been farming for many, many years. But you literally have 2 weeks to get it, and then everything resets on you. The mounts that are part of world events are the worst ones, because if you don't get it in that certain time frame, you have to wait an entire extra year to even attempt to get it. And yeah, those ones are just really rough. The Love is in the Air is going to be my focus till the end of February. I definitely drop everything for that event pretty much. So that is this week's events. On the topic of the raid, Limit did get world first for the Mythic Nyalotha, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a Method hater or anything, but I am so sick of Method winning at every new raid. It's almost like no one's even competing, and in a sense, no one really is. If you look at how many guilds compete for that Mythic race and then take, say, the population of WoW players, next to no one even gives a shit about Mythic raids, Like, no one even competes. But I am super psyched to see it finally be an NA guild. That is why I've been, more or less rooting for Limit, because they've been a pretty close competitor to Method, and they're NA. And, I'm NA, so obviously I would rather see an NA guild win it than an EU guild. So yeah, I think that's a very cool that they got it. Method ended up getting the kill on Saturday. As you can see in this picture, Limit got the kill on Thursday. Also, this picture you're seeing here is the Hall of Fame, obviously. So guilds can start getting in there. For those that are unfamiliar with this in the past, because this has been a thing going for pretty much every raid, this expansion. And basically, if you can get on the list, it goes up to 100, and then 100's when they cut it off. But if you can get on the list, you will unlock the Famed Slayer of Enzoth title. So that's, other than just getting on the leaderboard, I guess we'll call it, that is, one of the biggest reasons. Because to me, there's no point in really getting on the leaderboard if you can't prove it later on. And if, since it unlocks that title, you're able to prove it later on. But that's me. I have to always work towards something, and I have to be able to prove I did it in a later expansion, because the reality is, with being able to solo things later on, if there wasn't a title, attached to it, anyone could say they cleared Mythic, because of it being so easily soloable down the road. But, if you can't prove that you have that title, then no one's going to believe you, right? So I definitely like that they attach titles, certain things that can prove it down the road. Now, I know there are some of you who always like to comment on, well, Method doesn't start till 16 hours later, so of course Limit's gonna win. For starters, Method has won many times with the 16 hours later. So, that's really doesn't have to do with anything, And second of all, look at those dates and times. If they had started at the same time, Limit would have still won. There is more than 16 hours of a gap in the completed time there. The only thing that would make this better is if the world first would go to an alliance NA guild, then I'd be super psyched. Which won't happen because, there's two reasons here. One, I have noticed that unless you're sponsored, your guild just doesn't try for Mythic, world first. It seems to only be these sponsored guilds that actually put effort into it. And second is, I just don't think Alliance really gives a shit enough. I feel, and I'm not even totally sure if it's just Alliance. I feel like many guilds don't give a shit because many people just expect either Method to win or Limit to win, because they all know that the only reason Method and Limit are even, doing this Mythic race is because they can dedicate like 16 plus hours per day raiding, whereas the typical person can't. Typical person is a job to go to, a family to attend to, or whatever else is happening in their social life. So I think that's why we don't really see a whole lot of people compete. Now, personally, I feel like the Mythic races just aren't mythic races in my mind. And it's because, don't get me wrong, I'm still super hyped that Limit won it. I think they deserve that win, and congrats to them. But I also feel like Blizzard rigs it for a winner to be drawn fast, Basically, I have yet to see a mythic race where Blizzard doesn't nerf something. They always interfere in the mythic race, and I don't like that. Personally, the minute I see them interfere, patch something up, I've considered that a cheat, and yeah, at that point it's like, because every time they do it, the minute they make a change, boom, next day we have a mythic world first winner. It's just so instant, and I've gotten to the point now where I fully believe that Blizzard doesn't like a mythic race to last longer than a week, and they do this so that a winner will get drawn. Now, that doesn't mean I think they rig it for a certain winner. I don't think Blizzard themselves gives a shit who wins the world first. I think it's that they just want someone to win it fast so they can open up the Hall of Fame. Because that's pretty much how the Hall of Fame opens up, right? It's the first person that gets the mythic raid complete. That's when the Hall of Fame opens. It's just I've watched enough of them over the years to see the pattern. And I see the pattern. You have to be practically blind to not see that pattern going on. So while it's cool that people do compete and get world first, I also feel like it's not a real race. Not all teams start at the same time. There's Blizzard that's interfering in the races, and yeah. And while I get that at certain points you might be sitting back saying, oh, they should fix that, I don't think it should be fixed during a world first race. And a lot of the time, I won't say this is the case for every time, but a lot of the time I feel like people call it a bug when really it's not a bug. It's an actual difficult boss. There's a difference. There's a bugged boss, and then there's an actual boss with some difficulty. And I think we need that. We need that boss. And look at the game. Take all the years of the game. It just gets easier and easier and easier. Like these mythic races are almost like putting your kids, in the center of the room and telling them to build something out of Lego, Like it's not getting harder, it's getting easier. Okay, so with that said, here's the kill count. Definitely there were, some good ones and then some bad ones. And when I say that, I'm probably meaning a whole different thing than what you're thinking. To me, the good ones are the high kill counts, because that means that boss was actually difficult. The ones that have less than like 10 attempts, I think those bosses should have been, upped in difficulty. I find it kind of odd that Hive Mind went down in 5 attempts. That boss is pretty damn close to the end of the raid. I just feel like when you start the raid, it should be the easier bosses, and then bosses get tougher and tougher and tougher. And while it does show that that's how it started, it's not how it continued. You can see that, there's a couple kind of like in the middle to the end mark that went down fairly easy. Now for our next piece of news, there is a new book that will be coming out for the World of Warcraft readers. This one right here, It's called Shadows Rising. And Madeline Rowe, I guess is probably how you pronounce it. I don't know too much of this author because when it comes to WoW novels, I've only really ever read Christie Golden and Richard Knack. And yeah, they have been kind of the two most popular, I guess. There's definitely others, but they write majority of the stuff. So this one's new. So I did look her up, and this is kind of what I found here. She definitely looks like an interesting author. Just judging off of her books and my particular taste in reading material, she does look like an author I would read. However, does that make her a good author for WoW? I don't think so. Maybe she'll prove me wrong, but judging off of her material, like I said, I would read it because I love horror and scary stuff, and all these books that I'm showing you here of hers definitely look scary. They look like horror type novels. But to me, like, World of Warcraft isn't like horror, Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's the oddball novel of her writing. So maybe she's trying to expand, her material. Yeah, I myself have never read one of her books, so I don't know if she would be good for the World of Warcraft novels, but we'll find out because she's written the book already. So this book is scheduled to release on July 14th. So that might tell you, I know with Before the Storm, it was a couple of months before the release of BFA when the book Before the Storm came out. And so with this one coming out on July 14th, makes me think that maybe Shadowlands is going to release in September, which was actually my prediction in a couple of earlier videos that I've done. I had predicted mid-August to late September. And next up in news is the Love is in the Air event. So that is going on till February 21st. For the big love rocket, if you're like me and still going after that thing, you do need to be at least level 110. So you can bring your main and any alts that are at minimum level 110, and you can go for that rocket. The reason they have to be level 110, because you might notice that you can queue it up prior to 110. You have to be really careful with the wording on the item. So if you're level 20 to 109, you're going to see the heart-shaped carton. And if you're level 110 or higher, you'll see the heart-shaped box. The carton will get you random crap, and the heart-shaped box is the one that can drop the mount. So if you're out there on a lobby and you're just trying off these cartons, you're wasting your time. There's no way. It's not even a drop chance in the carton. So definitely only if your main focus is the love rocket, only farm it on a level 110 or higher. Also, if you're new to this farm and you're not even sure how you farm this, it's really easy. You just open up your dungeon queue and there'll be the Valentine's event in there, and that's all you do. It's one quick kill, and then you can hop on alts if you have more. There's also many achievements. For the meta achievement that gets you the Love Fool, which I will have to remember to attach to my character the next time I log into WoW. And if you guys need any help with any of those achievements, just let me know. If I can, assuming, servers don't interfere or currency of somewhat, I will help you. I've done all those achievements. Speaking of mounts, there is another mount that you can get. It's the Swift Lovebird. Really easy. All you gotta do is just grind the tokens, and it's 270 tokens. And yeah, you just buy that one. So that's the easier mount to get. The Love Rocket is the tough one because it's rumored to be the lowest drop rate in the game and the hardest mount to get in the entire game. I will also say, though, that because you can sell the Swift Lovebird on the auction house, if you are farming money for, say, your auction house mount, that's 5 million gold, it is a good one. At the time of recording this, the event hasn't started yet, so I don't know what the current gold will be, but when you log in and the event's live, you can just check it out. There's also 3 pets you can get: the Toxic Wasteling, True Silver Shafted Arrow, and the Lovebird Hatchling. And then there is also toys. So you can get the Hearthstone, there's the Romantic Picnic Basket, and the Love Boat. I like the Love Boat the best. That's this picture here. I got it last year, and it's super awesome. I love it. It's really cool. Okay, so that concludes the event, and I have one more news piece before we hop over to the classic news section. So the final news I have for you guys for this week is that the Alda McCord and the Rajani rep, they have made a change with their rank 3 rep essences. They originally had it set to where you had to be exalted to buy them. You now only need to be revered. Okay, so that calls it for the WoW retail news. We'll end it with some goals. So I think for goals, I didn't get into the mythic yet. I am going to sneak a quick one in, though, before reset. And but I don't know what it's going to be. So we're just going to have the goal be a 3 again. And I will definitely be in there consistent till the end of the month because of the Love Rocket being at stake. So yeah, that will be the goal. We're going to keep the goal at a mythic +3. There's the goal of obtaining the Love Rocket, and then it's a goal, but I will also, at the end of the video, there will be my progression for the Brutosaur mount, which is the 5 million gold auction mount. I was sitting at 1 million gold, and then I went and bought a mount for like 60k. So we are now under 1 mil, but not hugely under. I'm sitting at 975k. So we can easily get back up to the 1 mil. And yeah, so that is the goals for this week. And we will we're going to hop over to classic news section now, and there's, more than normal for us over there. A great place to start with the classic news section would be something that will be available in-game today, and that is Dark Moon. Dark Moon will released today for Classic. Now, Dark Moon has kind of a different type of schedule than the retail. You're going to see a lot of different things with the Classic Dark Moon versus retail, because the Dark Moon that we know in retail technically came into the picture Cataclysm. Like, Dark Moon was always part of vanilla. You know, things that came out later on, we'll say Cataclysm and further, were like the rep buffs and the experience buffs and a lot of the vendor items and, you know, the additional profession stuff and additional NPCs. So it's going to be quite different if you're comparing it to retail. This Dark Moon that you're going to see is how it began. And also there's the portals in retail. So with Classic, you will have to actually travel to get to the fair. They are pretty much in the same location. So you will have the fair show up. They rotate. So the difference between retail and Classic is that both factions can go to the fair through their port in the city, whereas in Classic, the fair will appear in one area at a time. So it alternates between Mulgore and Elwyn Forest. So the fair's locations are Elwyn Forest, it's just outside of Goldshire, and Mulgore just outside of Thunderbluff. Like you guys, you know, if you have done Dark Moon in the past in retail, you know where they are. Now, they rotate out. So this one that you're going to see start up today is going to be over by Mulgore. So if you want to go check out the fair, you will head over to there. Just be careful of the horde. And yeah, that is how you'll enter it. And it will alternate every month. So next month, the fair would be over in Elwyn Forest, and yeah, vice versa. So it'll just always alternate back and forth to Alliance location versus Horde location. And how it works is the first Friday of every month, they start setting up the fair. It takes a weekend to set up the fair. And then the fair will become live on Monday, because through the weekend you'll see the fair, but nothing will be available. You won't be able to really interact with anything. And then Monday you can interact with stuff, and then it shuts down that following Sunday. And that's how it goes every month. Every month it'll be that same deal. Okay, so here you see a picture of the tiers, how many tickets to turn in for your rep. And this is the rep guide right here. And there's many different ways to get tickets. So you can earn tickets by doing repeatable quests. You can turn in items such as engineer, leatherworking, or blacksmithing items for tickets, and then you use those tickets for your rep. Now, for the important items that probably everyone will want, the decks. So the decks will now be available with Dark Moon. So the decks available is the Warlords deck, which gives you the Dark Moon card Heroism. Then there's the Portals deck, which gives you the Dark Moon card Twisting Nether. And the Elementals deck gives you Dark Moon card Maelstrom. And the last deck is the Beasts deck, which gives you the Blue Dragon card. You'll have 8 cards to collect, and you combine all 8 of your cards to create that deck. It can turn out to be quite the grind. So cards 2 to 8 will drop off pretty much any mob ranged from 45 to 60, undead and human. The ace cards drop off specific mobs. So if you're going after the Warlords deck, which is the Heroism card, you are going to target King Gordok in Dire Maul to get the Ace of Warlords. If you're going after the Portals deck, which is the Twisting Nether card, you're going to go to Scholomance and you want to kill Darkmaster Gendling for the Ace of Portals. If you're going after the Elementals deck, which is the Maelstrom card, you are going to want to kill Lord Incendius, who is out in Blackrock Depths. Or you could kill Hydrospawn, who is the third boss in Dire Maul East. And then for the Beasts deck, which is the Blue Dragon card, you're going to want to go after the Beast in Upper Blackrock Spire. That will give you Ace of Beasts. So yeah, other than those specific Ace cards, the rest of the cards are just random drops from any undead or humanoid level 45 to 60. And then once you have your deck completed, you will just go to Professor Thaddeus Paleo, and he'll give you your trinket. He will be out in the Dark Moon, so you can see why Dark Moon's important for you without, like in retail, a lot of people do it for, their extra points to their profession and stuff like that. With Classic, one of the biggest reasons is that you need it to be active to turn in your deck for the trinket. You could also check the auction house too. These will definitely be money makers for some people, and they can be sold on the auction house. Okay, so the next piece of news I have for Classic WoW is that we are going to have some new content showing up on the 12th. Blackwing Lair will open up, so you'll be able to go out there. Some of the level 50 class quests will be available. There's going to be some new rep rewards, which I'm going to go over in a minute here. And also anyone who did the Hands of the Enemy and got revered with the Hydraxian Waterlords will now be able to get the Eternal Quintessence from Duke Hydraxis. And yeah, so that is that. Let's hit up the rewards, and I will show you what the rewards will be for rep. Okay, so here are the rewards. I'm not going to go over them. You can just pause the video if you want to really read everything on the rewards. So I just screenshotted it, and yeah, like I said, you can pause each one. Okay, so as you can see, there'll be quite the grind for those items. There is a lot of stuff in there, a lot of profession items and all that. And that concludes this week's episode of both retail news and Classic WoW news. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Hope you have fun in the new content in Classic, and I hope you have fun grinding your Love Rocket over in retail. And we will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.